Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into the Iran-Israel ceasefire from June 2025. People call it the 12-day war.
Right, and it wasn't exactly a peace treaty, was it? More like a halt forced by the U.S.
Exactly. Both sides were pushed pretty hard strategically. So our goal here is to unpack what really happened behind the headlines.
Understand why they both actually stopped.
Yeah, and look at the unsettling consequences. You think you know the story, but it gets really interesting.
Definitely.
So it all blew up June 13th, 2025. Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, big preemptive strike.
Massive scale. And their targets were pretty broad.
Yeah, not just the nuclear facilities everyone talks about. They went after what they called human capital, killed about 14 nuclear scientists, 16 senior IRGC guys.
That's the Revolutionary Guard Corps, yeah.
Yeah.
And they even hit places like state media buildings, Avon Prison.
Yeah.
More psychological targets.
Right, but even with all that, they had limits.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hitting the really hardened sites, like Fordo, that proved, let's say, very difficult for them.
Which set the stage for
direct U.S. involvement. That was the next big step. June 21st, 22nd, the U.S. used those specialized bunker buster bombs.
likely the GBU-57s from the B-2s.
Probably. Against Fordo, Natanz, Isfahan. They're really tough nuts to crack.
And almost immediately, President Trump declared Iran's nuclear program.
Obliterated. That was the word.
The direct hit from the U.S. So Iran had to respond somehow. How did they handle that?
Well, their response was, frankly, quite calculated. A masterclass in strategic messaging, you could say.
How so?
On June 23rd, they fired a few missiles at the U.S. Al Udeid base in Qatar. But crucially, it was limited and pre-warned.
Pre-warned. So they told someone it was coming.
Exactly. They made sure, probably via Qatar, that the U.S. knew. The point was 0 American casualties.
Ah, so it's symbolic, projecting strength back home.
While quietly signaling to Washington, okay, we need an off-ramp here. Let's de-escalate.
Okay, so Iran signals de-escalation. But why did they actually agree to stop fighting? They had postured pretty strongly before.
Well, the simple answer is catastrophic military failure. Their air defenses just collapsed within days.
Giving Israel complete air superiority.
Pretty much total. And anytime they tried to move their ballistic missile launchers, their main offensive punch, they were detected and destroyed almost immediately.
So their key weapon was useless.
Effectively, yes. And this military disaster started causing, well, serious cracks inside the regime.
Internal pressure.
Yeah, there were reports, people like former President Rouhani, the moderates, pressuring Khamenei, the supreme leader, basically saying, we need to save the regime.
Wow. Even talk of contingency plans if Khamenei was out of the picture.
There were whispers, planning for a potential leadership committee. So deep crisis.
Okay, so Iran was forced into it, but Israel was claiming a historic victory. Why did they agree?
Well, the public statements were one thing. The reality, a bit different. Their agreement wasn't entirely their own decision.
Meaning?
Meaning their advanced interceptors, Iron Dome, David Sling, they were running dangerously low on missiles.
Really? After just 10, 11 days?
It was intense. And remember, their main goal, taking out those hardened nuclear sites like Fordo, they couldn't do it alone. They were completely dependent on those U.S. bunker busters.
So once the U.S. delivered those key strikes...
President Trump basically told Netanyahu very clearly, that's it. No more U.S. military action. Time for diplomacy.
So the U.S. essentially called time.
Pretty much.
Okay, so the ceasefire starts June 24th. But it wasn't smooth sailing, right? There are immediate violations.
Yeah, almost instantly. Iran fired some more missiles. One tragically killed 4 people in Beersheba, and Israel hit back.
How did the U.S. react to that?
Trump got on the phone with Netanyahu again, and this call was described as exceptionally firm.
Making it clear no more strikes.
Unequivocally, stop. It really showed the fundamental asymmetry in the U.S.-Israel relationship. When Washington said stop, usually.
Usually they stop. Okay, let's get to the core issue, the nuclear program. Was it really obliterated?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's where things get really worrying.
Because,
well, Trump used that word, obliterated.
Yeah.
The initial U.S. intelligence assessments came back pretty quickly. They suggested maybe only a few months setback, not years.
Only months.
That seemed to be the early red. But the truly alarming detail came from the IAEA, the nuclear watchdog.
What did they find? Or rather, what did they not find?
They reported that over 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%. Highly enriched.
Wow.
Had been moved from known facilities before the strikes hit. And now, it's unaccounted for. Nobody knows where it is.
400 kilos, that's
Yeah.
significant. So instead of ending the threat, the war might have created this nuclear paradox.
Exactly. That's the term people are using. The strikes might have just pushed the program deeper underground.
Yeah.
You'd harder to track.
And maybe even incentivize them to go for broke. Get the bomb as the ultimate insurance policy.
That's the fear. It could paradoxically make weaponization more likely, not less. And think bigger picture, too.
Like the regional impact.
Yeah. Where was the axis of resistance? Hezbollah, the Iraqi militias, pretty much silent.
A deafening silence, some called it.
Which really undermines Iran's whole regional deterrence model, right? And
Yeah.
this whole thing is a huge blow to non-proliferation efforts globally. Iran's even threatening to leave the NPT now.
The Non-Proliferation Treaty. That would be major. So this ceasefire sounds incredibly shaky. What's the outlook?
Extremely fragile. It wasn't built on any kind of understanding or reconciliation. It was pure coercion.
No formal agreement text, no monitors.
Nothing like that. It's really just a pause, not peace. So we have to watch the indicators very closely.
Like what? What should we be looking for?
Any sign Iran is enriching that missing uranium further, maybe towards weapons grade, any actual move to withdraw from the NPT, or if their regional proxies suddenly reactivate, any of those would be major red flags.
So we're left with these huge unresolved questions. Iran's choice, accept being weaker or make a dangerous dash for the bomb.
And Israel has to decide if this partial U.S.-dependent victory is sustainable.
While the U.S. is stuck trying to stop proliferation, restrain Israel, and, well, prevent everything from exploding again.
It's a real mess.
The 12-day war, then. Short, brutal, revealing a lot about power dynamics and coercion. It stopped the immediate fighting.
But the core problems, the deep animosity, the nuclear dilemma, they're all still there, maybe worse.
Which leads to that chilling thought.
Yeah, that the June 2025 ceasefire might not be remembered as the war that didn't happen, but maybe as the prelude to something much, much bigger.
A sobering thought indeed.